Welcome to today's episode. This is Fulfillment Obi. I bring you one leadership truth and insight every day to help you lead better, live better, and build something great. Today we're talking about the real reason why execution keep breaking in your team. Follow me to the end of this episode because I'm going to name something that most leaders are facing every day but have been struggling to find solution to. And at the end of this episode, I'm going to give you a tool that will help you with execution. Let's get into today's episode. You've had meetings come together to talk about the problem, how you are going to take the vision forward. But after some few days, everything stays the same. Nothing gets done. And you keep wondering, why is my team not executing? Is it that they are lazy? Is it that they are undisciplined? That is not the problem. It is because the structure you have built as a leader is unable to support execution long term. So you come together, you have good meetings, you make plans and preparation, you share the vision, but everything still stays stuck because the gap between decision and implementation is broken. You cannot translate decision to action. So here's the common diagnosis. This is what is actually going on that you can see. When the leaders share the idea, they give instruction, they come together to tell the team, this is what we are trying to achieve. The problem is usually not because of lack of communication. The problem is not because your team is lazy. The problem is not because they don't understand the vision. It is simply because the next action is not defined. Your team gets the vision, but they don't understand how to implement. They don't know who owns that particular problem and they don't know the deadline. So it creates a rift. It makes it impossible for them to execute when they run into a brick wall. They don't understand what done means. So what does the leader do? They try to push harder. They try to install more discipline. They try to motivate their team. It won't work because there's a difference between a clarity problem and a discipline problem. If it's a discipline problem, you can just set the right structures in place so everybody knows what they are doing. If it's a clarity problem, it needs a different kind of surgery. They want to help you translate the decision to action. And that is always possible when you have strictly make the team understand what the next action is. Let's really look deeper into the implementation gap. So let's be specific on what it looks like. You have a team meeting, you make a decision, but the decision is not actually translated into the next action. Not a goal, not a priority, but a vague direction. A specific physical action, something that has a name, a person responsible for it, a date it happened by. Without that translation, the decision lives in the air. Everyone understands the direction in the room. Nobody knew exactly what to do on Monday morning. And on Monday morning, people default. They go back to what feels familiar, what feels safe, what they are already doing before the meeting. Not because they are lazy, because nobody gave them a clear enough picture of what moving forward actually looked like in practice. That is the implementation gap. It is not a motivation problem. It is a translation problem. And it sits between every decision you make and every result you are trying to produce. So here is where it compounds. When focus is unclear at the top, when the leader themselves is not fully certain about the priority, that uncertainty travels down. It does not travel loudly, it travels through the quality of the instruction, through the slight vagueness in how the direction is communicated, through the fact that when a team member hits an obstacle, they cannot confidently decide what to do next because the original direction was never clear enough to navigate from. A leader with genuine internal clarity produces specific external direction. A leader carrying internal fog produces general external direction, and general direction, no matter how intelligently it was arrived at, produces fragmented execution. And then unity collapses the whole thing, because even when the leader has clarity, if clarity was never translated into a shared picture, every person on the team will execute towards their own version of the priority. They are all working hard. They are all genuinely trying, but 5 people executing 5 slightly different interpretations of the same goal produces the same result as no one is executing at all. that energy cancels itself. And the leader looks around at a busy team producing very little and cannot understand why. That is not a performance problem. That is an implementation structure that was never built to carry the weight of the vision. So let me name it clearly. Your execution is not breaking down because your team is not good enough. It is not breaking down because you are not disciplined enough. It is breaking down because somewhere between the decision and the action, the translation was never complete. The specific physical next step was never named. The shared picture was never built clearly enough for 5 different people to navigate them independently. And until that translation happened, more accountability will not fix it. More meeting will not fix it. More pressure will not fix it. The only thing that fixes an implementation gap is going back to the moment the decision was made and finishing the work that should have happened there. So here's what I want you to take from today. After your next significant decision, before the meeting ends, answer 3 questions out loud. What specifically needs to happen next? Who specifically is responsible for it? And when specifically it happens by? Not as a formality, as the completion of the decision itself. Because a decision without a specific next action is not really a decision, it is an intention. And intentions do not build anything. So tomorrow we look into something that lives underneath all of this, the pressure of always having to be strong. So come back for that one tomorrow. Everything we just covered today, the implementation gap, the translation breakdown, the fragmented execution is exactly what this week diagnosis tool was built to address. The execution gap brief is a 5-page diagnostic inside the execution room. One full section is dedicated to the implementation breakdown specifically. It walks you through your last 3 most important decisions and helps you identify exactly where the translation from decision to action break down each time. Not a theory exercise, a diagnostic tool you can run with to help you monitor your decisions this week. So download it and walk through the implementation section today. The link is in the show notes and it will lead you to the execution room. And what if today's surfaced feel like a pattern you've been living for a while? Not just this week, not just this quarter, but consistently. The Fulfill Leadership Audit is where we diagnose that pattern completely. 90 minutes 101. We go through your specific implementation breakdown, where the translation keeps failing and what is causing it, and what structures need to be built to close the gap permanently. Because an execution problem that keeps repeating itself is not a discipline problem, it is a structural problem. And structural problem needs structural solution. So the link to the audit is in the show notes. So if you're leading a team right now and this episode names something you have been watching happen without being able to explain it, send it to one person on that team, not as a message about what they are doing wrong, as a shared language for what you both are going to fix together. Follow the show if you have not already. New episode every weekday, about 6 to 8 minutes. And drop a comment. Tell me where your execution keeps breaking down at the decision level, the translation level, or the team level. I want to know because I read every single one of them. That is for today's episode, and this is Fulfillment Obi, your host. This episode is available on YouTube and every major podcast platform. Follow the show so you never miss one. I'll see you tomorrow for the next episode.